So, welcome back to a bigger update video, the second for this weekend. We will look if Unity software is finished with its pullback. Same for RIOT. We'll make a big update on MSTR. We will look if BULL now goes up or down. We make an update on plug power. We will look at open door. We still make a little update for FFAI. And then we will look at 3 community wishes. If you're interested, just stay tuned. As always, I'm using the Fractal Method. I will link the explanation video at the end of the video, or you just search for the playlist Fractal Method on my channel. Okay, let's start with Unity software. For Unity software, I just can say it's perfect playing after the rules, one by one. And also perfectly shows you fundamentals don't matter, news don't matter, who is buying, who is selling, don't matter. For the Fractal, Unity software started its IPO in the B run. Then we had our C, lower high, midpoint. So our next big B is over 109. Fall back to our last time to sell, our T, which was perfectly our A. Then we fell down to our V. Our V was on August 2024. Then we made a perfect higher low, we broke out of the trend, but still perfect higher low. And then we ran to our A. Over the T line, perfect. And for third transparency, I made a little mistake because first I thought this was our A peak. But with the break up, this is only our little B. But still I said, this is our A peak. We have to fall down. To where? We have to fall down to the 0.5 or to the 0.618. And we bounced in the middle. Yeah. So what will happen next? If this is already the bounce, maybe we still can down here, down a little bit more lower to 2162, but not much anymore. If this is finished, your next target is B, over 109. Yeah. Do we have something to compare with this? Well, we have the second part of this run. Yeah. So in my opinion, this part here will look like this. Only question is this part just this? Or is it this? Yeah. Nobody can tell you that, but it still looks absolutely fine. What we definitely, in my opinion, know, what happens after we get our B peak. Because IPO showed us we will get a 0.5 pullback. Yeah? In that case, if this here was our bottom for A, we get our peak wherever it is, and we'll do a 0.5 pullback. In the case our peak is 114, our B pullback will be 252. And after that, you will still, in my opinion, break all-time highs. Why ever? Yeah, there will 100% for sure news for that. But who cares? I tell you, for this run, I don't know. Unity makes a deal with Google AI. Yeah, because that was the news why it knifed. Or suddenly the Google AI is shit. Something like that. Yeah. And up here, I don't know. They are not partnering with Google. Or the AI is better than everyone thought. Blah, 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 blah. Or the illusion. Blah, blah, blah. Something will be written for this shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So much for Unity. Now we go to RIOT. So here for RIOT, Before we start, again, because maybe we get new people who will tell me my tracking is wrong, because RIOT is running one-to-one like Bitcoin. It isn't. Yeah, I showed that in the last update video. In this time, from 2007 till March 2020, RIOT was falling. Bitcoin went up. Yeah, and from 2020 till today, Bitcoin made higher highs all the time. RIOT was pulling back. So it's not running one-to-one. Of course, it's a Bitcoin farmer. So big movements on crypto will most likely move RIOT too. But this isn't looking like Bitcoin at all. Yeah? It has its own fractal. For this fractal, RIOT started its IPO in its B. Pulled back up to its C, its all-time high. Then lower high, midpoint, T. After the T, it fell down to its V. The V was on March 2020. Then we made a little higher low. Yeah, for that you really have to go on lower time frames. We broke out of the trend line over our T line. Perfect A. Also the pullback of our A broke a little bit under the trend line, but it was a perfect 0.618 pullback. Yeah? Nothing to say bad about it. Okay, and then, since then, we're going sideways. What will happen next? Well, for the big tracking, our next target, our next big B is over 224. Yeah? And I will show the comparison. Then we will make a 0.5 pullback of our A low. Yeah? So if it's 344, our pullback will be to 32. Yeah? Crypto crash, whatever. And after that, we will go to our C. Before we look at the comparison, we'll look at this little thing here. So, as I said, on December 22 was our A low. And since then, this tiny micro tracking. Yeah? We made a little higher low, broke out of the trend line again. This is our A. And our A is all this. This is our little A. Pull back to the, what was it now? 0.618. Yeah. Then we broke out and made our B. And then we had our little crypto crash here. Yeah. But if we take our A bottom to our B peak, right now, perfect bounce on the 0.5. So, next target, still big B, which is our small c for our small A and B. So, the comparison. So, left side, still weekly chart, right? Right side for our chart, 2003 to 2007. Yeah? So we are looking at this, yeah? And we're comparing this pullback and this bounce with this whole thing. Yeah? And I will show you why. We have here our C, like our C, lower high, drop down, have a nice bottom here, We have two single peaks. We have two single peaks. We drop down again. Okay, here I would have go to the 5 minute, but then yeah, I have to use the replay function. So for T, you break down here and jump up. Yeah, it's the same like you break down here, jump up. You make your bottom. You make a big higher low. This big higher low you only see on the 1 hour chart. And then you broke out of the trend line. Same as here, you broke out of the trend line. Your A is higher than your T. And then you make this pullback. The same what you did here. You make this pullback and go sideways. Yeah? Same as here. Pullback and go sideways. And now the important part. When this pullback is finished, which it seemed to be right now, and the sideways shit, you get a massive jump up to your B. And your BE peak is over the M line. So, massive jump up over M. Yeah? That's why I'm showing that. Yeah? That means for the big tracking, we're just repeating what we did here. Nearly 1-to-1, just because it's a repetition, the fractal gets longer and bigger. Yeah? But still, our end target for B is over M. Yeah? Most likely, no financial advice, something around 300, which is crazy because we are at 14 right now. Yeah? I mean, maybe we could make the theory that crypto isn't crashing. Yeah? But even if crypto is crashing, because of whatever reason, RIOT will perform fucking great. Okay, so much for RIOT. Next one is MSTR. MSTR is the complete opposite to RIOT. Yeah? So my main tracking for MSTR is fucking absolutely bearish. Yeah? There's a bullish alternative, yeah, but let's start. MSTR started its fractal in its B, yeah, went to its earlier all-time highs. This was our C. Our lower high is somewhere in here, then midpoint, knife down to our T, knife down to our V. High low, A, with a nearly perfect 0.5, then a massive B, which went under the 0.5 but not touched the 618, so still okay. And for the bearish variant, went to its C again, and it made a high. Yeah? So this could easily be our top on MSTR. Yeah? Sorry. Which would mean we already made our lower high and now falling back to our M. Yeah? Which M? It would be this M. Yeah? I already said in the last update video, there's a pretty good chance we get a bounce and go up to our M. Yeah, this could be this bounce, maybe. Yeah? The stupid thing about this is, it doesn't matter if this is M or not or whatever, for the bearish variant, because this is really a top, would mean you have to go V under A. And V under A is at $3. Yeah, we would perform 1-to-1 what we did in 2000. Yeah, and I would imagine this company still doesn't go bankrupt. After that, it will do the same shit again. Yeah, and I didn't read everything, but back then it was the same scheme. Yeah, it wasn't buying Bitcoin, but they bought something else with the same leverage, also with the money of their shareholders, and then something went terrible wrong. The same they are doing now, buying Bitcoin with extreme leverage, with the money of their shareholders. And if crypto is crashing, that goes terrible. So, yeah. The only alternative is that wasn't our C. That means that was our B. That means we would be somewhere in this, I zoom in, we would be somewhere in this bounce here, in my opinion. That means if this is B, we still have to drop. Yeah? We still have to go to $40. Yeah? I mean, in that case, I think the news will be crypto is crashing. Bitcoin goes to 44K. Yeah? And that's also the reason why MSTR is going to $40. Yeah? Till October. And then Bitcoin is at 44K, is bouncing, goes over all-time highs, and that's the reason why MSTR is also going over all-time highs. Yeah? That was what would be my only explanation for this. Yeah? But all in all, direction for MSTR is still down. Yeah? The only difference between the bullish and the bearish variant is we're going to $3 or we're going to $40. But still, we're sitting at $134. So it would still be a massive drop. Let's see. Next one is bull. So after something terrible bearish, something terrible bullish. For bull, for transparency, it's one of the two stocks I was wrong. FFAI and bull. In bull, I really have to say I had no chance. I tracked it from here to here. And the thing is, back then, so June 2025, and back then I tracked this section here with symmetry. That means we should have gone up here. Well, we fell down here. There was no chance to track that, right? But still, error is error. And now it's clear this hole is one fractal. So for the how does the fractal look like? You have your A, B, C, lower high, midpoint. Midpoint is also our B line, means our next B has to be over 18. Down to our T. Also our T line is our next line for our A, so over 10. And then we fall to our V. For this V, I said I want our V between February 4 to February 17. Here, I said we had a good chance that this would have been already our bottom and we would perform a higher low till February 17. Well, we dropped on February 4. So time was right, direction was wrong. So next try. This could easily be our bottom now on February 5. The only thing we still have to do is a higher low. So I would imagine we're doing the higher low till February 17. I think that is 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Of course, we have to hold this higher low now. But then is breakout of this trend line. Next A has to go over T. And then the big question becomes, what are we doing? Do we do a rule by rule, A 0.5 pullback, B 0.5 pullback, or do we something stupid like the IPO? We will see. I can't really answer that. But in my opinion, I think I can already predict the news for that. Because it's a Chinese broker, Chinese company. Trump will make a deal with China. Boom, boom. So maybe we're really doing something stupid like this. Could be. But just saying, no financial advice. I would take a look in the next 2 weeks at Weber. Not the whole day, just maybe every day, one look. And if you come near February 17 and we are still holding a higher low, the next move should be volatile. Okay. Next one is plug. So for plug, it's a little bit more complicated because we are perfectly in an inflection point. We have one terrible bearish version, one normal bearish version, and one bullish version. For the overall fractal, plug started its journey in the run to its all-time high, to its C. Lower high, midpoint, T, all-time low. At the all-time low in February 2013, it finished our first fractal, so our big macro fractal, and started a completely new one. From 2013 till today, for the absolute bearish version, this would be our higher low. But this higher low wouldn't be finished. I will show that when we zoom in here. For the bullish version, this higher low is finished mid-May 2025, and we are now in the run to our big A. And this big A has to go at least over 75. So let's zoom in. So for the bearish version, here's our low in May 2025. And for the absolute bearish version, this peak in October 2025 wasn't the A, wasn't the higher low. This was just T. Yeah? And I forgot to show that. If this is T, yeah, then this higher low isn't finished. This higher low, which we built up since 2013, and you still have to come down to your A. That means you have to come down to 46 cents. Yeah, this will take time, and of course it will fucking knife. That's the absolute bearish version. Yeah, and we don't have anything which would tell us now, yeah, this will happen. Yeah? For the not so bearish version means that the higher low is finished, yeah, the big one, on May 2025, but this whole thing is still our higher low to this downtrend. That means for this, we bounced last Friday, like quite everything, but you still have to come down here to our V&A to $1.03. So we should start rejecting next week and go down. Yeah? But if we finished it, this would still be bullish, because then we would still go massively up. Now to the only bullish version. The bullish version means that this peak is our A. Yeah? The only thing I hate about it, first of all, we are under the trend line. We didn't got really a little higher low here. And we already had this problem with DGT. That's why I don't like that. But for levels, if this is our A, we bounced at the 0.5 here. In that case, our A pullback was here on November 2025. Then we made a little higher low. Also perfect. We bounced directly when we just take a little touch under the 786 and we bounced. So this is bullish. So in the case we are breaking 2.69, the bearish order, in my opinion, is gone, and you will go up. Confirmation, everything over $4.70, and we go up. If we touch or break $1.62, your last hope is that we bounce at $1.03. Otherwise, we will go to 40 cents. That's why. The shitty part about plug is we are at a big inflection point right now, or a decision point, or however you call it. It will just show us, I think, in the next week, it's massive upside, or if it's massive downside. Sadly. Next one is open. So open is the most easiest chart I have, I think. Yeah, and maybe Weber is easier, but still. And there are only two versions: hero or zero. Yeah, I will show why. We have our all-time high C on February 2021, lower high midpoint, which is also our B line, hit, perfect, down to our T, which is also our A line, perfect. Went down to our all-time low, which is our V. We didn't got a really higher low. I mean, it's a tiny one on the lower time frames, but then we broke out of the trend line and made a retest. And if we take this, it's a perfect 0.5. Maybe on the 24, yeah, on the 24 hour. Perfect 0.5, pullback for our A, and then we shoot up to our B. And for transparency, I went short here, and I sold in this pullback. Yeah? But I thought this was our 0.5 pullback, and the B pullback would be finished. Why? Well, because we came close to the 0.5. Yeah? Only problem is that wasn't the B pullback. I mean, it was a B pullback, but it wasn't finished, because this whole thing is the fucking B pullback. It took ages. Yeah? So from here to here, perfect. We perfectly bounced at the 0.5. So what will happen next? For the bullish version, we just do, as always, a micro high low, and then we will just run. The only question is, are we breaking all-time highs at $40 or are we rejecting all-time highs? Yeah, that's the only question. For the bearish variant, and you know me, I always want the bearish variant. It doesn't make sense, but still means wherever we put A here, this would be B and this would be already C. Yeah. In that case, our target is $1. It doesn't make sense, but always have an alternative. Yeah. So I would say if you break under, if you break under $3.11, it doesn't matter if it makes sense or not, then this would be the version. I just don't think that. Yeah. Still think because it's tracking perfectly. This was our A, this is our B. We made the B pullback. We go now to our C. Let's see. Okay, next one is FFAI. And for transparency, I was wrong here. Yeah, I still think I had no chance, but I was wrong. Still 90% of the tracking is still right. For the tracking, our all-time high, C, lower high, midpoint, didn't change. M is still our next B, which is at $5,000, which we don't get without the split, as always. We knifed down, came up to our T, still same T. So our next A is still 153. Then we fell down, and there was the point where I was wrong, because I tracked here April 2025 as the lowest low, and then this as a higher low. I said perfectly our time frame in February, but my idea was higher low would hold and we would squeeze. Thing is, we squeezed in the wrong direction. Yeah. And it's a shitty one, because I still didn't found this candle. I'm still looking for it. I didn't found this candle. Yeah, it's stupid. For the tracking, thing is, this, our previous high low, is now our T. And technically, this T is finished, because we went lower where it started here. Technically, it's finished. Also, the big one, this one, is also finished. So what does that mean? For our smaller tracking, our next target changed because our T changed. That means our next target is 360. Our next target for B is 34. Our next top is still 153. Only question is that our bottom now? Yeah. And the shit part is, I can't say yes or no, because down here is nothing. Yeah, because it's a new all-time low. And I also say, in my opinion, perfect example. Fundamentals, news doesn't matter. On that day, we got bullish news and we knifed. The same like Google and Microsoft. Good news, good earnings, and we knifed. Yeah. If this was our button, we still need to do a high low. Yeah? Means something like this or smaller, which is holding. Yeah? We are not allowed to break over the trend line. So right now, maximum $1.13. Yeah, and then we have the next try. Yeah? I mean, I know why FFAI is so attractive, because every time the higher low is finished, we're getting massive moves. So yeah. So if you're not going OTC now, or delisting, or bankrupt, wait for the higher low to be finished. Yeah, I will update this still if I see something. It still was a shit move. Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's go to the community wishes. We start with Southern Copper Corporation because it's the easiest one. I'm just saying, I hate such charts. I mean, companies which only go up. I mean, this company is old, yeah, but still only goes up. So the only thing I can say here is most likely your V is in October 2001. Your peak of A was 2007, also quite perfect with a 0.5 pullback, so fine. But I still think we didn't even got our C peak yet. Yeah. And I have nothing to compare if this was already the peak or not. Yeah. In the best case, I would say you're still somewhere in here. Yeah. We didn't got this big pullback yet, so somewhere in this. Yeah. So there's a good chance we still go up. Yeah. If you're not already in it, I would wait for the B pullback. Yeah. Because wherever the B peak is, you still need that. So let's say this was the B peak yet, you would come back down to 44. If your B peak is at 500, then you have come to 67. That's a good entry. Right now, I mean, okay, you can easily still go up 100%, but you're still running into the danger to buying the peak now. But this will be a B peak, 0.5 pullback, and then you still go up to your C, wherever it is. Yeah. But I just can't say more to this. Yeah. Okay, next one is Mara. And Mara is a difficult one. Yeah. So just for me personally, after I track this, I wouldn't touch it. Yeah, because of two things. I can track this absolutely fucking bullish. At the same time, I can track it absolutely fucking bearish. And I have no way to say what I'm leaning to because it's really 50-50 for me. For Mara, it started in its IPO at its peak, all-time high C. Then lower high, midpoint, which is our B line, perfect. Falls down to last time to sell, which is our A line, also perfect. And then we fell down to our V. We did a little higher low. We broke out of the trend over our A, T, perfect A. We did a 0.5 pullback. Let's see on the 24 hours, so we have more candles. So yeah, perfect 0.5 pullback. Went up to our B. This B isn't a 0.5 pullback at all, but this has to be B. And then comes the difficulty. So for the bullish tracking, this last peak on November 2021 was our A. Yeah. We made a pullback here, quite perfect to the 618, and bounced here. This thing here, first of all, this is for me a higher low, just a higher low to this A. We have two versions of this. First of all, here's your A, your little one, here your B, here your C, the peak of the higher low. Means this is your V under A. So this could be already your V, and we bounce. Confirmation for this is, in my opinion, if you break over $23, and then your next target is anything over 62 over your A, because this would be your next B. Yeah. Second version for this is we still need to drop more. Yeah. That means you have to come down to something 1 cent lower than $5.24. Yeah. Still, this would be bullish because then this whole thing is still a higher low, confirmation then again to the upside. Now the shitty part. What if? I mean, it's not a young company, not so young, but I can also track this as an M. That's the shitty part. Yeah. In that case, for where would we be in macro position? We would be right now here, March 2015. And that would also mean, yeah, that here was the start of M, means you go down here, lower than all-time low, would come up again to your T, and then even lower. And in that case, I don't know if a company survives that, even with a split. Yeah. That's the shitty part. And I can't rule out any of that. So the only thing I would say, I can only play it with levels. Means everything over 23.45.49, bullish. Everything under $3.13, hands off. Yeah, that's sadly that's the only thing I can say. Yeah. Okay, next one is nano dimensions, and I have to say, you have interesting stocks. Also here, after I tracked that, I wouldn't touch it. Yeah, because here again, I have an absolutely bearish version and an absolutely bullish version, and also here 50-50. So for NNDM, it also started in its peak C, then lower high, then midpoint, which would be our next big B, so over $33, down to our T, down to our V. So, and that's also already the problem, because our T is down here. Well, it doesn't matter. So for the bullish tracking, we had our V on April 20. We made a perfect high low. We broke out of the trend line, went over our T, also perfect, and made a breakout retest of this trend line and a 0.618 pullback. Perfect. That's the last perfect thing. Because if you look at the weekly, if you look at this would be the perfect B this year. Because you take the bottom of A to the peak of B, perfect 0.5 pullback. Yeah, perfect 0.5 pullback up to C. Perfect. And I track that first that way. Yeah, and then, because I always starting on the weekly, and then I work myself down. Then I went on the 24. Not perfect anymore, because this B peak is lower than A. And that's a 100% no. B can't be lower than A. So B has to be somewhere in here, but we don't have any B pullbacks anymore. But okay. So for the bullish case, the top of January 2021 was A. And this is the whole A pullback. And so we're taking our FIP. We came very close to the 786, still over it. So okay, still possible, not great, but still possible. That would mean our A pullback is finished with April 25, 2025. Here also, I mean, that's a perfect example like FFAI. Yeah, it should have gone up here, but it knifed down. For what would happen next? Well, we did already our A higher low, and we broke off the trend. Now, you have to go over $2.69. You have to go over your T. If we're repeating what we did here, your A, so this candle here, your A would be something around $5 to $6. Yeah, something like this. Then pull back to the trend line again. Then your B, and your next target is $33. But for this, again, you have to go over 270. You have to. If you reject somewhere in here, that's bad. Because then, and that's the shitty part, we're taking this trend line here. And if you somewhere reject on this trend line, not even to, you have to go over 0.16 cents. If not, if you go up here, reject here, then this wasn't A, this was M. And in that case, M started here. So in that case, your next target is under 50 cents. Then you will come up, this would be still your T. And you can go even lower. Yeah? And that's the shit part. Yeah? Because with this way, this company looks like a dying company. Really. Yeah? I don't know anything about this company. If you reject 216, I tell you this company will die. I don't care about the news. Yeah? If you break 216, this company will survive. I hope that helped. Okay, I think I didn't miss anything. No. As always, if you liked it, leave a like. Explanation video here, playlist here. And if you want to see more, you can leave another. Let's see what happens next week. See ya.